Hello everyone, welcome back to Believer Science Academy Bengaluru. This is the daily news analysis. As usual, we'll discuss important articles from UPSC prelims, mains and interview perspective. So the first article for 10th October 2025 is from the front page of the Hindu, which discusses most significant geopolitical event in the world, that is India-UK ties, new defense and economic push. What is it about? The context or the overview is during the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's visit to India, both nations signed multiple high-value agreements across defense, clean energy, education, and investment. We will see what are all these cooperations or agreements. In the defense cooperation, both the countries agreed for 350 euros million missile deal, and the agreement is India signed 350 million euros deal with the UK to acquire lightweight multi-role missiles (LMMs) for the Indian Army, and the manufacture of this missiles will be built in Belfast, the Northern Ireland, by Thales Air Defence. Okay, and the significance is makes a complex weapon partnership under negotiation likely to enhance co-development and co-manufacturing of these missiles in the future, and strengthens India's Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat goals through future joint ventures. Next, deepens India's access to European defense technologies post-Brexit as well. Next, naval collaboration. Countries agreed for 250 million euros electric engine deal. Have agreed advanced collaboration on electric powered engines for naval ships worth 250 million euros. Implementing arrangement has been signed, which is part of the broader India-UK Defence and Security Roadmap 2030. Aligns with India's push for greener defence and decarbonized naval operations. Okay, instead of using the diesel, we'll be able to use electricity. Then economic and investment announcements. Indian investment in the UK. 64 Indian firms have pledged 1.3 billion euros, approximately 15,430 crore rupees in the UK. Expected to create nearly 7,000 new jobs across sectors from engineering and technology to creative industries. And the best examples in this is TVS Motor, 250 million to expand Norton motorcycles and develop electric vehicles, and the Scient, that is 100 million euros in innovation hubs, semiconductors, geospatial and clean energy, and Muthoot Finance, 100 million euros to expand financial operations across 20 UK branches, and Hero Motors has pledged 100 million euros for e-mobility and aerospace ventures. So this is the significance foothold of Indian companies in the UK. And what about UK investment in India? The Indian government has not released the equivalent data yet, but UK interest is visible in education, green tech and manufacturing. Next, education diplomacy. UK universities enter India. That is, the University of Lancaster and University of Surrey have received approval to open campuses in India. This follows UGC's 2023 guidelines allowing foreign universities to operate independently in India. Okay. Significance will be boost India's goal to become a global education hub under NEP 2020. Reduces education outflow by offering UK quality degrees domestically. So very significant. Now you'll be able to see all these Ivy League universities in India as well, which will be operating independently from Indian or government overhaul or government regulation. Broader implications will be it will help in strategic alignment, defense and security partnerships, the framework of India-UK 2035 vision roadmap or 2030 roadmap. In economic ties, Indian investment in the UK post-Brexit reflects mutual dependence with India emerging as key investor in UK's high-tech and green sectors. Soft power expansion, educational collaboration increases people-to-people and knowledge connectivity. And the global significance, it reinforces India's position as a key partner in the Indo-Pacific and an anchor for Europe's engagement in Asia. Okay, so challenges and outlook is the much anticipated India-UK free trade agreement still remains under negotiation. Balancing defense autonomy with foreign procurement will be crucial for India, and for UK these deals are a post-Brexit opportunity under the anchor trade in global south. Okay, so very significant article and very important for India and UK relations. Next is about 2024 Nobel Prize in Literature. was awarded to Laszlo Krasnorokai. Okay, Laszlo Krasnorokai from Hungary. The introduction was okay, fine. Awarded Hungarian writer Laszlo Krasnahorkai, whose works are celebrated for their philosophical depth, apocalyptic tone, and artistic intensity. So, Nobel Committee honored him for his compelling and visionary worldview in the midst of apocalyptic terror, reaffirming the power of art. So, about the laureate, who is Laszlo Krasnahorkai. Okay, he is aged 71 and he was born in Gyula, southeastern Hungary, which is near Romania. Lawyer at universities of Szeged and Budapest, later turned to literature and known for long stream of consciousness sentences and deeply reflective, often bleaky humorous narratives. Style is philosophical, surreal, absurdist, blending realism with existential reflection. Notable works are in 1985 he wrote Satanango, okay, Satan Tango, which is a debut novel, explores moral decay and apocalyptic landscapes, adapted into a 7-hour film by Bela Tar. And in 1999, he wrote about Melancholy of Resistance, a very famous book where it is about allegorical critique of totalitarianism, inspired Tar's film Reckminister's Harmonies. Reckmeister Harmonies. In 2013, he wrote Sebo There Below. Philosophical reflection on art, divinity won the best translated book award as well. And in 2019, Boron Wenheim's Homecoming. Wenheim's Homecoming won National Book Award for translated literature and a tragicomic return of a ruined aristocrat. And other works are War and War, The Prisoners of Urga, which is unfinished and blend of chaos, politics, and metaphysics. So, literary signature is writes paragraph-less prose with some novels composed as one single sentence, whole novel as a single sentence. His work combines Kafkaesque absurdity, Beckettian despair, and Eastern European realism. So, he combines all these literary values. So, captures the decay of modern civilization, moral collapse, and search for meaning in the chaos. Deeply influenced by music, visual art, and religious mysticism, philosophical and political dimensions, strong critic of Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban's autocratic tendencies and nationalism, and sees literature as a moral resistance to authoritarianism and a spiritual act amidst political decay. And the Central European tradition, Krasnahorkai in Central European tradition. Nobel Committee compared him to Franz Kafka and Thomas Bernhard, calling him a great epic writer in the Central European tradition, characterized by absurdism and grotesque excess. His works continue the European lineage of exploring oppression, bureaucracy, absurdity, and existential dread, a mirror to post-Soviet, postmodern world. And the critical reception was he has received Booker Prize in the judges, praised his extraordinary sentences, switching from soulman to madcap to desolate. And Beratar's cinematic adaptations, that is Satanango and Ekmester's Harmonies, made his vision globally recognizable. And readers find his style demanding yet hypnotic, blending madness, faith, and decay in poetic prose. Awards are Best Translated Book Award in 2014, National Book Award for Translated Literature, Boron Weckens Homecoming, and Man Booker International Prize. He was a finalist, not a winner, for his oral contribution and Nobel Prize in Literature now for reaffirming the power of art amid apocalyptic terror. Okay, so just remember the name. Even if you have difficulty in pronouncing, just remember the name. Then an editorial from the Text and Context of the Hindu, which discusses about why we need to change the way we talk about antibiotic resistance. A very important article. What is the background? How antimicrobial resistance or antibiotic resistance entered the public discourse. The New Delhi metallo-beta-lactamase or NDM discovery in the 2010 triggered political and media attention. What was this? This led to initiatives like Chennai Declaration, which shaped India's national response to antimicrobial resistance. Initially, it was based on fear-based messaging, that is collapse of healthcare by 2050, 10 million deaths worked. It shocked policymakers into action, and but over the time, the repetition led to desensitization, that is a phenomenon called habituation and psychic numbing, which is given by Paul Slovic. Initially, what was considered to be a shock, initially what was considered to be a very significant threat to life, has now become a routine. Okay, because of psychic numbing and habituation, because of its repeated desensitization. Communication fatigue, that is where numbers stop working. The ONL report in 2016 projected catastrophic figures, that is 10 million annual deaths and $100 trillion losses because of antimicrobial resistance. These numbers once helped position AMR as an economic and political issue, not just a medical one. But now the public media and even the doctors are numb to these statistics. Quote is, statistics are human beings with the tears wiped off, which was given by Paul Broder. AMR discourse has lost its human connection now. So what was considered to be a threat in the coming years has now lost its connection among the human beings. So making it personal. So what is the need now? So we have to make antimicrobial resistance personal so that each individual cares about it. Global threat to individual body. So we must reframe the narrative to focus on the present and the personal. That is the microbiome, that is trillions of bacteria, virus and fungi that live symbiotically within us, is central to our health as well. So antibiotics, while life-saving, can disrupt this ecosystem for months, sometimes permanently. These disruptions affect gut-brain axis, which will result in anxiety and depression, and gut-lung axis, which result in asthma, respiratory infections, and metabolism, which will lead to obesity and diabetes, and skin and immunity, which will lead to eczema and allergies. So this is because of the disruption of microbiome by these antibiotics. Thus, AMR isn't just about dying in 2050, it's about living less healthy even today. So why we are focusing on 2050, which is in the distant future? We have to focus on the present itself. It is not only resulting in death by 2050, it is also resulting in reduction in your healthy lifestyle, reduction in your health today. So the fragrance metaphor, the good bug story, that is microbes shape even how perfume smells on our skin. Bacteria interact with fragrance molecules, creating unique scents. This story reveals microbes as partners in individuality, beauty and daily life, and not just disease agents. So by telling such positive microbial stories, we can humanize the AMR issues. So the message shift is from fear to responsibility. Instead of saying antibiotics cause resistance, we can say antibiotics can harm good microbes, protect your microbiome, it protects you. So instead of making it a public health issue, we have to make it an individual responsibility. Okay, so from fear we should bring it responsibility. This new framing invokes personal agency rather than fear, builds hope instead of helplessness, and connects people emotionally to the issue. So broader shift in the communication paradigm is, old narrative was about fear and catastrophe, and the new narrative should be on awareness and empathy. And from the global collapse to focusing on individual impact. And the resistance, that is a war metaphor, to resilience, that is biological metaphor. From statistics to stories and distant 25 to everyday 2025. So from the world will collapse to your body's balance depends on how you use antibiotics. The body's balance depends on your microbiome. So AMR communication must evolve to integrate science with emotion, biology with storytelling, promote responsible antibiotic through connection and not fear, and keep AMR to public and political agendas by making it personally meaningful. So very important article, beautiful article with the beautiful quotes and beautiful words as well. Next, from the editorial of Hindu, which talks about India's mental health crisis, the silent epidemic. So today is October 10th. October 10th is also celebrated as World Mental Health Day. So on that day, we are discussing about mental health crisis. Recent tragedies like a couple in Shahjahanpur who ended their lives with their infant over death, or multiple student suicide in Kota, Rajasthan, highlights a grim mental health crisis spanning villages, cities, classrooms and firms. So this mental health issue is not restricted to any particular region or any particular society or any environment. It is across villages, across cities, across classrooms, across workplaces. So it is present everywhere. These are not isolated events but are part of national problem itself. So the data says that total suicides in 2023 were 1,71,418, where there was a slight rise from 2022. 1,71,000 people are dying because of suicide. High risk states are Andaman Nicobar, Sikkim, Kerala, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, MP, Karnataka, and West Bengal account for 40% of the case. This can be either because of the reporting or because of actual suicides. So, gender 72%, 73% of these suicides are men, which showcases a gender disparity in suicides, gender disparity in mental health impacts. Causes are mainly family problems, result in 31% of these deaths, and illness 19%, and substance abuse 7%, and relationship issues 10%. So farmers 10,786 suicides, of which accounts for 6.3%, mostly from Maharashtra and Karnataka, and over 1 lakh farmers have died since 2014. The hidden crisis is homemakers and caregivers, mostly women, face high rates of depression and abuse but remain underreported. So that is the issue here. Though there is suicide happening among these women as well, it is underreported, and many of the times women, instead of going for the suicide, just accept their fate and live with the depression and abuse. Okay. Next, systematic gaps. Only 0.75 psychiatrists per 1 lakh people in India. The WHO minimum is 1.7, and the ideal is at least 3 psychiatrists per 1 lakh population. Counseling in schools and colleges is largely tokenistic. We do not talk about mental health in schools and colleges. We often consider it to be a taboo. So that has to be changed in India. Mental Health Care Act of 2017 and National Suicide Prevention Act or Strategy of 2022 exist but have limited impact. The 1270 crore mental health budget is largely unspent in India, and the technology as stopgap. Millions of Indians now turn to AI platforms for emotional support, and not out of trust but because of loneliness. This reflects institutional failure rather than technological innovation. So AI cannot replace a trained human care without ethical safeguards. So recently there was a report about chatbots killing people, or chatbots acting as suicide coaches. Okay, chatbots acting as suicide coaches, which these chatbots initially act as a support, act as a caregivers over the time, which results in seclusion of the individuals from the reality and makes them live in a virtual AI world. Okay, which ultimately lead to suicides because of the lack of human support or lack of human touch. So I already made videos about this AI suicide chatbots. If you want, you can search in the YouTube and look about this video. A very informative video is there. The solutions needed: national emergency approach, cross minimalistic task force with independence funding, expand professions, that is 3 to 5 mental health workers plus per 1 lakh population via training, scholarships, and rural incentives, and institutionalized counseling, that is full-time counselors in schools, colleges, hospitals, and blocks, and targeted high-risk groups: farmers, students, homemakers, survivors of abuse, and caregivers, and regulate digital mental health, that is privacy disclosures, crisis redirection, and real-time access to licensed professionals. So why does it matter? It matters because suicide is the leading cause of death among the youths, especially from 15 to 29 years of age. Youth, what we call as demographic dividend, is formed by this youth itself. So if you want to achieve this demographic dividend, if you want to avoid a demographic disaster, we need to focus on this population, that is youth population. Untreated mental illnesses could cost India over $1 trillion in GDP by 2030. And each suicide is a silenced voice, a broken family, and a lost future. More than the economic aspects of these suicides, this particular aspect is very important. Okay, a person committing suicide is not an individual issue. It turns out to be an issue of a family, an issue of a society, issue of a school itself. So this has to be addressed properly. So every one of us has known the relief when someone or some system says, "You matter." So India must prove its values, lives, or lives by acting decisively on mental health. Next, prelims pointers. First point or the first topic in the prelims is Subansiri Upper Head project. What is the current test? It is hundreds recently protested in Dapojiro, Arunachal Pradesh against the proposed 2000 megawatt Subansiri upper hydroelectric project. So what is this hydroelectric project? It is a 1800 or 2000 megawatt hydropower project. It is a run-of-the-river project planned on the Subansiri River basin in Arunachal Pradesh. It is expected to enter into commercial operation in 2031. The project is being developed by KSK Upper Subansiri Hydro Energy and is currently owned by KSK Energy Ventures. The gross head of the project will be 199.5 meter high, and the project is expected to generate 6581.29 gigawatt of electricity, and project cost is expected to be around $2,347.87 million. So what about Subansiri River? It is a trans-Himalayan river originating from the western part of Himalaya, that is Mount Porom, which is at the height of 5059 meters in the Tibetan Himalayas, especially the Kangin Glacier range in the Tibet. So it is also called as Gold River. The Subansiri is famous for its gold dust. It enters into the plains of Assam through a gorge near Girukumuk. It is the right bank tributary of Brahmaputra. It joins Brahmaputra River in Lakhimpur district of Assam. It flows through Assam, Arunachal Pradesh and the Tibet autonomous region of the China. And finally it merges Brahmaputra and then drains into Bay of Bengal. The tributaries of this Subansiri are major tributaries of the river are Laro, Nai, Ume, Tasri and Kamla and Jiadhar, Ranganadi and Dikrong, etc. etc. So that is about Subansiri. Next, about Crohn's disease. What is Crohn's disease and why is it in news? That is, it is in news because recent research suggests that diets high in ultra processed foods, that is UPFs, may worsen inflammation in the gut and raise the risk of Crohn's disease flare-ups. Okay, what is this Crohn's disease then? It is a chronic inflammatory bowel disease, that is IBD, causes swelling and irritation of the tissues called inflammation in the digestive tract. It can affect part of the digestive tract, but it usually affects the small intestine and the beginning of the large intestine. The inflammation often spreads into deeper layers of the bowel, and Crohn's disease can be both painful and debilitating. Okay, sometimes it may lead to serious or life-threatening complications as well. The symptoms of Crohn's disease may vary depending on where and how severe your inflammation is, and the most common symptoms are diarrhea, cramping or pain in the abdomen, weight loss, and this is more likely to develop in people with age between 20 to 29. And experts aren't sure what causes Crohn's disease, but think genes and abnormal immune reactions and the microbiome may play a role here. The treatment is, there is no known cure for Crohn's disease, but the therapies can greatly reduce the symptoms and even bring about long-term remission and healing of the inflammation. With the treatment, many people with the Crohn's disease can function well and live a normal life. This is about Crohn's disease, and this is about how high processed foods are impacting the bowel movement or impacting lower intestine and the smaller and higher intestine or larger intestine. So this is the important articles for the day. I think I've covered it holistically. If you like the video, then please hit the like button, comment on it, and also share with your friends. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you don't miss any notification. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.